That some of you have to get to class, so I'm trying to kind of keep us on a schedule here. It looks a little bit odd when you see the title because it's like, why are they studying the Olympics in a graduate level math class? But the class is statistical methods and design, models and research design, and so we look at a lot of different techniques, and then the end of the semester project is to apply that model to any type of data that you want. And so Becky chose the Olympics, and she looked at some of the research design techniques that we used and applied them there. So really, what looks like a talk on the Olympics is really kind of a hidden talk on the statistical methods that she learned and how to design the experiment correctly. So I thought she did an excellent job, and so I'm very happy that she's here to present it to y'all.
Oh, it's quick over.
Oh, I think it's just right or left.
I'll let start with dramatic. So my presentation is on the Olympics. The Olympics are an international sporting event. The first modern Olympics were held in 1896 in Athens. They're held every 4 years. They started out being held every 4 years, Winter and Summer Olympics together. But then they decided that was a really long time to wait between sessions, so they decided to break it up so that it'd be every 2 years. So the Winter Olympics got a bonus games in 1994, and that's when it started alternating every 2 years. Some iconic Olympic moments that everybody pretty much has seen. Nadia Comaneci, she earned the first perfect 10 in gymnastics. You have Derek Redmond. He initially went to the Olympics in 1988. He pulled his Achilles tendon, could not run his race. And then in 1992, he was running in his race and his hamstring pulled during the middle of his race. He was not able to finish, but he had promised his father that he would finish the race. And his father went down to the track and helped him finish the race. Another one is the 1980 Miracle on Ice, when the U.S. hockey players defeated the Soviet Union. They had won the gold medal 6 out of the past 7 Olympic Games prior to that, so it was a very momentous occasion for them. Another one is Jesse Owens. He won triple gold in the 36 Berlin Games, which were held in Germany. Other moments, Carrie Strug, it's iconic. She did a vault in gymnastics where she twisted her ankle, but she didn't get a very good score for it, and she needed to go again in order to help her team win the gold medal, which she did. And that is a video of her landing on one foot and then being carried off by Bella. And her last vault ended up helping her team earn the gold medal in Atlanta. And then also from the Atlanta, we have Muhammad Ali carrying the flame. Another one, we have Mark Spitz, who won 7 gold medals with 7 world records in Munich in '72. And then you had Phelps, whose goal was to try and beat that, which he successfully did in 2008, where he won 8 gold medals with 7 world records. You have Usain Bolt. He completed a triple sweep of the sprint events in triple Olympics, which is very impressive. He won the 100 meters, 200 meters, and the 4x100 meter relays all 3 times, all 3 Olympics, and as you can see, in clearly dominating fashion. You also have the Dream Team 1992 basketball team. That was a big moment for the U.S. because it was the first time that the U.S. allowed professional NBA players to be on the Olympic team. So those are just kind of iconic moments that have always inspired me and something that have made the Olympics interesting for me. And that was what inspired my research for my project. And some of the different research questions that I had was to determine if the United States is more successful at Winter or Summer Olympics, if there's a difference between the number of participants between Winter or Summer Olympics, to predict the number of athletes for the U.S. for future Olympics, and to determine if a country's climate or population affects its performance. I ended up choosing 31 countries to look at data for my sample. I divided them into small, medium, and large populations. The blue countries I categorized as cold because they have definite winter seasons. The yellow countries are more warm, don't really have winter. Some possible issues, though, with the data that I did collect, the number of events changes from Olympics to Olympics. Some sports get added, some get taken away. Golf is being added in for the next Olympics, but baseball and softball were taken out 2 or 3 Olympics ago. Also, another thing is some are awarded completely by merit, so fastest time, highest jump, longest jump, heaviest weight. So those are definitive winners, whereas others are subjective by judging panels, which includes diving and gymnastics and figure skating. So when I started my research, I wanted to know if the U.S. Olympic team was more successful in winter or summer. What I did was I looked at total medals that they earned and divided it by Olympic season, by winter or summer. I wanted to know if there was a significant difference between the two. My initial test told me that there was a difference, which you can see because there was clearly a big change. But then as I went on and thought about it, I realized that there are a lot more events offered during Summer Olympics than there are during Winter Olympics. On average, for the 5 games, I looked at 5 winter games and 5 summer games for my research. On average, for the summer games, there was 295 events. On average, for the winter, there's 82 events. So that makes a big difference on how many total possible medals you can earn. So once I thought about that, I went back and controlled for the number of events possible to win medals. And once I did that, I realized that there was no statistical difference between how they performed winter versus summer. As you can see, the U.S. in the summer earned an average of 11.47% of the medals, and then during the winter they earned 11.03%. So pretty much once you control for the total number of events possible, they perform across the board. Then I looked at other countries. I looked at all 31 countries individually and did the same test to see if there was a difference between summer and winter. 4 countries were significantly different. They were Germany, Hungary, Italy, and Latvia. And then I wanted to look at the number of athletes representing the U.S., if it's different between the different Olympic seasons. But from this point on, all of my tests that I did, I was controlling for the number of events possible so that I wouldn't have that unbalanced scale comparing it back and forth. When I ran my test on this one, we found that the means are significantly different. So there is a statistical significant difference between the number of athletes participating for the U.S. for Summer and Winter Olympics. I also then went into prediction models to see if we could predict number of athletes for our future teams using the data that we already had. This is some of our information for our Winter Olympics. We have an average of 205 athletes on the team, with 115 males and 89 females. So I tried to find an equation, and this was the fitted line plot that I found that best fit my data that I had. The winter wasn't quite as interesting. The summer had more variety for our total number of participants and for our males and our females. So for the summer, we had an average of 576 athletes with 311 males, 265 females. What I did a 95% confidence interval and a 99% confidence interval for my summer athletes, which gives me a range of my average falling somewhere in that number, with a 95% confidence and a 99% confidence. As I went forward though and made a prediction, the model predicted 544 total participants for Rio. We actually had 558 total participants, with 264 men and 294 women. And we also had the largest female population delegation for any country, for any Olympic Games. So that was very good for our female athletes going forward. But that also was not taken into account for our model. And our number for our female participants is not in our 95% confidence interval or our 99% confidence interval. I wanted to look also if there is a difference between the number of males or females competing versus the different Olympic seasons. So same thing, controlling for the number of events. I found out that the female participants between different Olympic seasons, there wasn't really any difference between them. But for the male participants, there was a difference. Then I looked at the country's climate and see if it affected its Olympic performance. I ended up looking at all of my countries together and controlling for the number of events. And I found out that the climate does lead to a significant difference between medal performance. For the most part, United States and Russia tend to outperform the other countries that I was looking at in my studies. And this is just different groupings that I was able to do with them based on the total number of medals they earned. Then I looked at the cold countries versus the warm countries. Our cold countries, they earned an average of 125 medals in the summer and 125 in the winter. And then for the warm, they earn an average, they earn an average of 25 medals in the summer and 9 medals in the winter. And then our warm climate countries earn an average of 18 medals in the summer and less than 1 medal during the Winter Olympics. Looking at my warm countries, I wanted to see if they were more successful during Summer Olympics or Winter Olympics. There wasn't any significant difference when I did that test. But when I looked further into it, which country it was made a difference on the medal performance. Then I did the same thing for my warm climate country, or my cold climate countries. Ran the same test. That included 25 countries out of the 31. Again, I found that the Olympic season did not make a difference, but the country did have a significant impact on what your total medals earned were. Again, United States and Russia tend to outperform the rest of the countries. And then the last thing that I looked into was looking at population. Same test, controlling for the number of events versus summer versus winter. And we found that the population does lead to a significant difference. I grouped them into the small, medium, and large population countries. And there was a significant difference for the total number of medals that they earned. Those are our range. The difference between our medium and large population, small and large, and small and medium. in how they perform in terms of total medals that they earned. And then some other research ideas that I came up with while I was working on my own project is, does hosting the Olympics boost performance medals? That was something that I kind of saw a trend towards, but it wasn't anything I was able to find a definite pattern for within my own research. But that is something I would like somebody else to pursue and find an answer to. I also wondered if more countries compete in Winter versus Summer Olympics. That's another possible research idea. And is the proportion of athletes that countries send in their delegations, is that proportional to the population of that country? That's it. Any questions?
Questions for Becky?
Is U.S. a warm country or a cold country?
I did that as a cold country because we have parts of the country that have very definitive winters. So even though it's kind of lacking here in Alabama right now, we have New York and the Northeast that's being hit with a storm, and all of our mountain regions. Yes?
On your standardization, you realized you needed to go back and do it by number of events that were offered on those areas there. When you were doing your estimates on the athletes for your summer and winter, you went back to the number of events. But some events have more contestants than other events. So if you look at the total number of athletes sent versus number of events, maybe summer and winter have a different number of possible athletes.
Yeah, that is true, because my average number of events for the summer was 292, and my average events, I think, was 88 or 89 for winter. So obviously, you will send a lot more for the summer Olympics.
Well, you could send the same number if the smaller number in the Winter Olympics, all of those were team events that had 50 people, you could send the same number of people to the same one, even though the events are different numbers.
That is true.
That's what I would be kind of interested in seeing is